Conservatives have a different understanding of rape than the rest of us. For us, it's about consent. For them, it's about an affront to power. Priests and leaders are supposed to have power, so they don't care when those people abuse their lessers. But LGBT relations with consent offend the power hierarchy, so that's a crime to them. Musk shares footage of Trump partying with Jeffrey Epstein as Feud intensifies.
We've all seen that. What's less popular is the sworn testimony against Trump and Epstein.
Defendant Trump initiated sexual contact with plaintiff at 4 different parties. On the 4th and final sexual encounter with Defendant Trump tied plaintiff to a bed, exposed himself to plaintiff, and then proceeded to forcibly rape plaintiff. During the course of this savage sexual attack, plaintiff loudly pleaded with Defendant Trump to stop, but with no effect. Defendant Trump responded to plaintiff's pleas by violently striking plaintiff in the face with his open hand and screaming that he would do whatever he wanted. Quite the president you've got there, America.
We are aware.
Note the date on the filing. There's a large belief that the Epstein case getting revisited is a large reason Trump ran in the first place. The first credible accusation started prior to 2016, with one girl speaking directly about Trump's involvement. We know it was not politically motivated because he was not in politics at the time of the first accusations. Epstein is a case Trump does not comment on often, but in a rare turn seemed to have always chosen his words carefully. He at one point tried to say he didn't know him. That was a clear lie disproven by multiple sources. Trump's name on the Epstein flights, that they were literally neighbors for over a decade in Florida. Epstein owned the property next to Mar-a-Lago, and Epstein was recorded frequently at Mar-a-Lago. He then tried to say they just lived near each other, and he didn't know him well. There's interviews of Trump describing him as a great guy, and that he's known him for decades, and Epstein once called Donald his best friend. He then made a claim that Epstein was banned from Mar-a-Lago for trying to recruit a girl. He dropped this one quick when it was pointed out if this was true. He needed to be going to the police when it happened. It's also now known they fell out over a real estate deal near Mar-a-Lago, with Trump outbidding Epstein, then turning around and selling it to a Russian businessman anyway. The Trump-Epstein connection has a mountain of evidence and has for well over a decade. What has muddied the waters was that Trump was president when Epstein finally went down. He died in custody before a trial, and evidence that was to be presented at trial was mysteriously classified.
And 1/3 of us even care.
I mean, he would regularly walk in on teen girls changing when he owned a beauty pageant. Like,
If a child rapist was going to win with any base, it would be Christians. They did not give a shit when their priest did it. They're not going to care when it's their cult leader.
Internet critic from another country trying to shame the sane Americans fighting tyranny because they lost the fight. It's nationalistic nonsense. You add nothing to the discourse, just noise. Everything with his supporters is half-truths. They bring up that he gave a IDK, what the word is for a testimony or deposition while not under oath, to Brad Edwards, and well, he was the only one that picked up the phone for Brad. Why would he be forthcoming with info if he had something to hide? And ignore the second part of the equation. Over the next few years, I spoke to several witnesses who told us that they had been introduced by Epstein to Trump. Some had seen him at Epstein's office, others at one of Epstein's homes, at parties or social events, and even on his plane. In fact, Epstein bragged to certain young women in his life about how he had bailed Trump out of bankruptcy and how he was indebted to him. Last year, I saw a 1992 video of Epstein and Trump together, suggesting that they were closer social friends than I had been made to understand. Brad Edwards, link. I think this tracks with what you were saying.
So does the other third, just differently.
Yep. I was completely flabbergasted when Epstein died under Trump's custody while under purview of Barr, another longtime associate of Epstein. Clinton somehow took more flack. It's wild how Trump has been able to evade this for so long when it's not even subtle, almost spooky.
And we're expected to think that he was friends with Epstein because, like, he was such a great guy. Dude probably raped so many children with his buddy, Jeff.
I absolutely agree with you. Obviously, not everyone agrees with what is going on, but unfortunately, without coordination, one person can do nothing. Trying to shame people for something they have no control over is insane.
It's basically an easy way for people to feel superior. Having a president that has raped women, scammed millions of people, and bankrupted multiple business is perfectly fine as long as he owns the lives. Republicans.
Greatest trick ever pulled by modern mass media was getting a bunch of right-wing nutjobs worked up about a cabal of rich pedos trafficking kids, and then getting them to support a guy who clearly is part of that cabal of rich pedos trafficking children. It's what makes Kanan such a great litmus test for a person being reasonable or completely unhinged. A reasonable person who look at the whole movement and go, that doesn't make much sense, and move on. An unhinged person might be so enamored with the righteousness and so primed to go after some target, they won't notice who is giving them the orders. They just heard Hillary Clinton and began frothing at the mouth as they screamed, "Where are the kids?" Check Trump's bedroom, dumbasses.
That's fair. Can the rest of us get asylum?
When you're a star, they just let you do it. Maybe to save his own ass and throw everyone else under the bus? Like we've publicly seen him doing his whole presidency? But no, can't be that. Trump is their messiah and he is perfect and without sin. These people are absolute morons.
They care about owning the libs. That counts for something, right?
Buddy, these are the same people who say, why would the billionaire want even more money? It is baffling that they are this willfully or ignorantly obtuse. Truthfully, people work back from their conclusions, and it is almost always fruitful to question the things we believe. Sincerely, a young neuroscientist who voted for this twat once.
Having a president that has raped women, P. Diddy enters the chat.
Conservatives have a different understanding of rape than the rest of us. For us, it's about consent. For them, it's about an affront to power. Priests and leaders are supposed to have power, so they don't care when those people abuse their lessers. But LGBT relations with consent offend the power hierarchy, so that's a crime to them.
It's a tenet of modern Christianity to cover for rapists and pedophiles. If their God was real, he would be so pleased with his creation.
Why? You're already in a madhouse.
We are not fooled. We fool ourselves. Attributed to Goethe, Fox at the Front, Douglas Niles, and Michael Dobson. Good on you for not doubling or even tripling down. Have grace for those who finally realize they've been conned.
You're all aware, but 1-3 of you didn't care enough to even vote this time. No pass for you.